Amy Farah Weiss, Francisco Herrera, and Stuart Schuffman. Would you each take about 2 or 3 minutes to introduce yourself and tell us about your campaign for mayor of San Francisco? And also feel free to mention any official endorsements that you've received.
Great. My name's Amy Farah Weiss. I was born in Berkeley, raised in San Jose. Both my parents are, were raised in poverty, but they got great jobs working in unions, and I was the first generation of my family to go to college. And really, my focus isn't on upward mobility, it's on impact ability, because I want to have impact on the system. And I think that, the American dream thus far has been poised as, how to succeed in the system. And, my great-grandparents came here on one side from persecution from Hungary because they were Jewish, and they moved to the United States. And so they were just trying to survive the system. My grandparents and my parents were trying to succeed in the system. And then I have the ability, through the critical thinking skills that I learned in college, to be able to impact the system with the values that we have. And I went to UC Santa Cruz, as was mentioned, and while I was there, it wasn't enough for me to learn about race, class, and gender theory, which I really enjoyed, but I wanted to put it into action right away, and this gives you a sense of who I am. I did 3 independent studies while I was at UC Santa Cruz, and 1 college commendations for them, 1 working at Planned Parenthood, doing outreach and education internship, 1 starting a media literacy program at the Boys and Girls Club, and 1 working with low-income parents and trying to figure out how we can support preschool affordability for low-income families. And then I did a lot of work in social service and direct service, education, research, public speaking. I moved to San Francisco in 2007, working in a company that was focused on sustainability strategy. And I almost didn't take the job when I found out we'd be working with Walmart employees and executives around sustainability. I didn't want to be part of a greenwashing effort, but we actually had huge impact talking about the triple bottom line to employees, which is people, planet, and equitable profit. And then went back to San Francisco State for a master's degree in organizational development. While I was there, started a program to connect nonprofit students in the graduate program with support for community-based organizations. It's now being offered for the 3rd time this fall, so I initiated that. And then started a nonprofit called Neighbors Developing Divisadero in 2011. That's how I got my start in local politics, because I was tired of just saying no and pushing back against development that was exclusive and profit-driven and displacing and part of gentrification. I wanted to say yes in my backyard to inclusive, culturally enriching, and sustainable development, which I've devoted my life to over the last 4 years.
Thank you, Amy Weiss. Francisco.
Okay, well, my name is Francisco Herrera. I've lived here in San Francisco almost about 30 years, raised my kids actually 1 block from here. Unfortunately, I also seen a lot of our community kids die in these blocks because of lack of responsibility of our city government and the lack of appropriate funding. In that process of working in the community with parents, in schools, with day laborers, with cooperatives of women engaging themselves, we've actually been very successful in creating programs that have been funded in the past, some that are funded now. I'm specifically thinking of a couple of years in the early 2000s where we were actually able to eliminate shootings for almost 2 years due to appropriate funding and correct development work, where we were able to fund programs that were directly assisting youth through after-school programs, through midnight basketball, through Real Alternatives program van that went straight out to points of violence. And so that these experiences have really taught me that the point of government really is citizen participation, and really is to create a base of citizen participation. So along with the campaign of running, and I call it walking for mayor instead of running, and very specifically for the reason that when you walk, you actually feel with people, you actually smell, you actually sense the aromas, the relations are real, and you create human connection and collaboration, as opposed to running like a chicken with your head cut off, which is what happens when investors take over City Hall, as we're seeing today. And so this campaign to walk for mayor of San Francisco is based on creating the points in common, like Diamond Dave says, finding the points in common that have to do with affordability, with affording not just the rent, but access to healthy food, access to quality education, access to good health, and creating health through the culture, through the arts and culture, through a living wage, through benefits, through making labor and workers have the right to organize to really negotiate for good wages. And those kinds of issues that we, the communities, are very interested in, as opposed to what investors are here to do, which is basically make a buck, right? And so this is the gist of our campaign. I'm originally from the border, 2 hours east of San Diego, Calexico, a compound word, Cal for California, Exico for Mexico. And on the Mexican side is Mexicali, which is the capital city of Baja California, a city of 1.5 million, almost 2 million people. And so I'm here to work so that the wisdom of our communities come to City Hall and we can build a city together.
All right.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you, Francisco Herrera. And now, Stuart Schuffman.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stuart Schuffman. I go by Broke Ass Stuart. I've done a lot of things and been a lot of different people. I'm an entertainer, I guess, at heart. I've been a travel writer for a decade, gotten paid to travel around the world and write about it. I'm a TV host. I did that for a while, and I'm now a candidate for mayor, and it all kind of builds to this point. Part of what I am really, amongst all those things, is I am a people person. I understand people in a way that can't even describe, because I just, it's a sixth sense. I read people in a way that give me a certain amount of access to the city, where I walk into a place and I know the busboy, but I also know the owner and the guy who invested in the place. And so through that, I understand what San Franciscans are and what they want and who they are, because I know all aspects of it. I also grew up on the border, and I also went to Santa Cruz. So I'm a Californian, slowly make my way up the coast, I guess. In Santa Cruz, I learned a lot, like critical theory, like Amy was talking about, and it kind of pushed me in the direction of thinking towards collectivism and rethinking what it means to be an American and what the fuck we do with our money as a country. And I think we're starting to see with nationally, like with what's going on with Bernie and things we're doing locally, hopefully a watershed moment where we can really reshape the conversation of what it means to redistribute wealth. People are afraid of those words, and I think they think that we're just going to take their money and give it to nobody. But I really think that we should build an entire different system where the wealth is distributed like this as opposed to like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, and they actually have been redistributing wealth, right?
Upwards.
It's called wage theft.
Yeah.